start that over again. Holy shit, I'm dying. All right, good evening, friends. Brian here from Guitars and Cigars and the Katana Tone Lab. It's Monday. Hope everybody survived the weekend without any real issues. And it is time for another Mod Monday in our Katana Tone Lab series, where we go and either take a current patch, modify it, make it more towards what I like, and hopefully you like, more as we are showing how you can modify patches that are already there to suit your needs. Or sometimes we're going to take a brand new flat patch, which we did last week, and make it into something super groovy. So this week, what I thought we would do is we're going to go into the Boss Tone Exchange. Now, your Tone Studio comes with this as part of the actual program. So you go in, you make a username, you set up your password, you've got your Boss amp registered, everything else. This is what you end out with, is your various places to store your patches, where you can modify all of your patches. This is one that I worked on a couple of weeks ago. So this is where you go in and you make all the changes to your various effects, which amps you're going to use, what cab simulation you're going to use, and all of that. So we've gone over some of this already. Again, this is a Dark 80s is a patch I came up with a few weeks ago. That's up on our Katana Tone Lab Facebook page. If you go onto that page, go into Files, and you can see where you can actually download the patch itself. And I strongly recommend people download it, play with it, try modifying it, see what you come up with, and then share your results. I'm curious to see what else people have come up with stuff that I've made, or if you've made. Equally, drop some in there, and I'd be curious to download some of your stuff and try it. So, go for it and see what happens. So I think what we're going to do this week is we're going to go into the Boss Tone Exchange, which is where they have, I don't know, probably 400 or 500 patches that you can download. And this week I wanted to try and see what they had for Kiss, and see what they come up with for tones through Kiss. So we'll do the Kiss live. Oop, gotta log me in here. What the heck's going on here? Why is it not finding me? Stand by. That's weird. All right, we're back in business. I forgot I had done some updates on my computer. I put in a new 2 terabyte hard drive, and I had cleaned out the cache. Sorry if I'm speaking nerd, I apologize, but anyways, problem resolved. So we're now going to download that into our space where we can keep our patches and modify our patches. So we'll go back into here. So we downloaded, let's do that one. Go on. back. Going to the exchange. Sap Tone and Kiss Live we did. So we've got Sap Tone, Kiss Live. Yep. And then we'll do the Kiss Live 2. And we'll see what these sound like overall. So this is what it's going to look like. We've dropped them into our Tone Studio. Now let's go to the Sap sound. Now remember, we talked about this before. You get a delay now between the Tone Studio and your Katana amp because they pack so much into the Generation 3 amps that there is a lag. As usual, I am using my Chillcat Vintage Les Paul, and this is for continuity. I figure if I use the same guitar basically every time we're using the same amp, you guys can see that it's not the guitar, it's not the amp, it's not things I'm changing around. We're using something, the stuff that's consistent. I have another Chillcat guitar coming. That's going to be set in D standard where it's going to live. And that will also get integrated into these Katana Tone Lab videos as I want to show what the difference would be from a 440, a standard tuning, in the same exact patches and what have you, but with a D standard or a drop C you could even go into. So we're just trying to add some variety here. All right, so we're in the Saps tone. I'm going to go over here, and this is what we get. It's not bad. It's not bad. Let's see what the Kiss Live tone sounds like. Again, like I said, remember you always get the lag. Again, a little tinny. I'm getting a lot of artifact. Not exactly sure what's giving me that. But I've got 3 32-inch monitors and LED light and cameras and lions and tigers and bears. So one of them is certainly giving me some feedback, some interference. So, all right, now we're going to try the Kiss Live 2. Not bad. Not bad. Let's go back to the Sap sound and see if we can maybe get that rocking and rolling. Okay. So we're on the pushed amp. We got the gain at 63, volumes at 84. There's no bass. It's all mid. Treb's nothing. Boost is at 46, and we're using the Rat pedal. Everything else is off, except for we've got a little bit of reverb going, and it's a tape echo with a plate reverb. Resonance is at 60, presence is 77. We're in the vintage cab simulator. So again, it's not bad. See what we can do with it here. Let's bump up the bass, add in some treb, I'm going to bring everything back. Let's set everything at half. Again, not bad. Bump up the resonance. Presence, I'm going to put both of these at 85. Excuse me. And I'm going to hit the variation button, which is going to give us a different setup for the, I believe, it's the preamp and what have you. So this is what we're at. The variation. Again, not bad. Let's kick in the equalizer contour. Again, not bad. Let's see what we get with the contour at red. That's getting better in my opinion. So I think the variation at red with the contour at red. And I'm going to try switching the distortion to an overdrive. Let's see what we get. No, not liking that. Let's see here. Let's go with the distortion. Not bad, but I think the Rat probably sounds a little bit better. Yeah, that isn't bad at all. I'm going to kick off the boost and kick it back on. I'm going to put it at 50. Now, I think it needs some more reverb. So we're going to kick in the reverb at 15. And we'll leave it at tape echo and plate. Not bad. I think we're getting more of that classic drier Kiss sound that Ace was using during that time period of Kiss. I'm liking that so far. I'm going to add in a little bit of delay. And I'm going to put it in as a analog, because that's what they would have had back then. Not bad. Not really getting a lot of the delay, so I'm going to bump it up to 35. Certainly getting more of it now. I think it's too much. I'm going to bring it down to 25. I like that. There again, remember, this is all personal preference. I'm trying to get it as close as I can remember with some of my own flavor on it is really what you're trying to do. Let's bump up the gain a little. Again, I don't think it's too bad. I really don't. Let's bump it up to the crunch channel and see what happens. Nah, I'm not liking that. Let's go up to the lead. Getting a weird, I don't know, distorted after effect on it. Let's go back to the push, which is where it was originally. Not bad. Not bad. I'm going to kick the delay back a tiny bit to 20. And then I think that's pretty good, actually. Now, mind you, this is not a super ultra distorted Zakk Wylde meets Dimebag at the back of the bar. That's not the sound that record was doing. It was doing more of this distorted dry that I can remember. I bought that record probably in 1980 when I really started to buy records for myself. That would have been one of the ones that I picked up pretty soon after I started doing my own records. My uncle had a great big huge collection, and I dabbled in that all the way up from the like 77 to 80, and then I had gotten my own stereo system and started my own collection, and it was all over at that point. I was poor forever, but I had one hell of a record collection. So this would have been one of their records that I would have purchased pretty much immediately. It would have been this, Dark Side of the Moon, Led Zeppelin 4 or 2, Boston's debut. And then right around then, little after, I would have picked up Blizzard of Oz. Because I remember when that came out, everybody was like, what is that? And then later in 81, I got to see Ozzy and Randy live. And they say that they are moments in your life that really change your trajectory. That was it. Seeing Ozzy and Randy in particular playing live, I was like, holy shit, what I'm hearing is real. I thought it was just stuff that they did in the studio. All magic, so to speak. But seeing Ozzy with Randy was proof to me that no. This is real playing. This is really what you can do. You get good at what you're doing. That's the end result. So that bar was set way up here for me. And then at that point, my two favorite albums ever was Boston's debut and Dark Side of the Moon. Again, setting the bar way up here, there isn't much room below to go if that's what you're holding all the music you listen to. That's the standard. Blizzard of Oz, Dark Side of the Moon, and Boston's debut. And then about a year later, I found out about jazz. And I got a copy of Miles Davis' Bitches Brew. Absolutely blew me away. I couldn't believe that music like that existed until I had heard that record. And then on top of it, Herbie Hancock was popular with his song Rocket. I just thought he was just some far out dude who was doing stuff with the new technology of synthesizers. I had no idea that he was who he was in the jazz world. I mean, he played with Miles Davis and Thelonious Monk, and you think of all these major jazz players, Herbie Hancock played with them all. So that's when my bar is set when I'm looking at music. Do I listen to stuff that's far under? Certainly. But when I'm talking about musicality and how it's put together and the structure and all of that, that's where my bar is set. So, sorry, back to this now. So, we're coming up with something that would have sounded like Kiss kind of early in their career. It was kind of a tight, drier sound, and I think this is pretty good. I like it. You may not. Cool. Download it, modify it, stick it back up into the files. Let me know that you've done some work to it. I'd be curious to see what you come up with. I'm intentionally not having the music play in the background and we're playing to it. I'm trying to do this from memory, which isn't the greatest, and certainly is not what it used to be. But from what I can remember, having heard that song thousands of times, it is kind of a dry, not super overdriven tone. So this is the tone that I'm thinking is good for Detroit Rock City or other Kiss music from that time frame. Ace was still somewhat sober. The guys were somewhat getting along. And, those are some great albums that came out during that period. Absolutely. So, what are we going to call this? We're going to call this the Dry Ace. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to call this the Dry Ace. This will post tomorrow on our Katana Tone Lab Facebook page. You can go in there at that point, download it, try it, see what you think. See if you can come up with a better version of this and let me know that you did that. I'd appreciate it. So this is how you take a pre-existing patch and modify it into something that you think sounds better or more in line with what that song or that genre of music is supposed to be. So, all right, friends, Brian here from Guitars and Cigars in the Katana Tone Lab. This is going to be another episode of Mod Monday, where we're going to take a patch and we're going to turn it into something different. Whether it's a brand new patch that we're starting from zero or something that already exists, as we've seen here. And today we came up with the, we'll call it the Aces Dry. I like that better, which is going to be a play on the Detroit Rock City, that genre of Kiss music. So we appreciate you checking out all our stuff. We are on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on X. We're trying to get up on TikTok. It's a weird place to try to do things. That's all I'm going to say. If you like what you're seeing here, you're getting some information that you really enjoy or you're finding useful, by all means, like and comment. If you really like what we're doing, please find us on YouTube for Guitars and Cigars and the Katana Tone Lab and subscribe, as that will help us continue to grow and offer more stuff here. So, all right, my friends. Smoke long, play loud, live well.